like to say thank you to the city of Nashville, the Transperfect Music City Bowl, the hotel here. They've just been a wonderful host for our team and our fans and our families. We just had an outstanding experience and appreciate the hospitality. Bowl games are still a great experience for our student athletes and for college football. And this is an outstanding bowl game, and we tip our hat to Nashville and everybody who hosted. It's been an awesome thing. Our football team's excited. One of the things you look forward to is obviously the host city, but also the competition that you get to play against, and the opportunity to play against a traditional powerhouse in Iowa. Have a tremendous amount of respect for Kirk Ferentz and what he has done with the Hawkeye football team over the course of his 26-year career. He is the gold standard of college football and what it takes to build and sustain a program of success and excellence, player development. And so it's a real honor to be on the same football field with him and his program. And our team knows that in order for us to have a chance, we're going to have to play a clean football game. You watch these bowl games, it's going to come down to turnovers and takeaways, tackling, and penalties. And we've got to be clean in those areas to give ourselves a chance. One of the hallmarks of Coach Ferentz football team is they just don't beat themselves. And so we're going to have to play a clean football team. They force the other team into mistakes, and we're going to have to do a nice job of playing sound football. Excited about the opportunity. Got a lot of seniors. That this is going to be their final football game for the Missouri Tigers, and what a wonderful legacy that they leave to have an opportunity to finish out their careers the right way. So we're excited about that. So that, I'll open up for questions.
If you raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you.
Eli, I know you mentioned those seniors. What have these last few days and I guess weeks since the regular season been like, kind of taking in these final moments with this group?
Yeah, there's a ton of construction going on at Furrow Field right now, and right before we left, they'd already tore down all the bricks in the north end zone, and it was just a reminder of all the hard work that this senior class has done. And I told those guys before we left that none of this would be possible if it wasn't for them, their resiliency, their toughness, their commitment to seeing it through. And so I have a lot of appreciation for all of them, whether it's guys who've been here the whole time, whether it's Drake Eismeyer, Midge, Will Norris, Brady Cook, or whether it's the transfers who believe in us, Joseph Charleston, Christian Williams, Johnny Walker, who was here the whole time. All of those guys, Nate Well coming this year. All of those guys hold a special place in Mizzou football history.
Like you talked about before, just with the era of changing rosters, and personnel is going to change every single year, but being able to commit yourself to really building a sustainable program that won't change throughout that. Just can you expand a little bit more on what those steps look like for you day in and day out, and what gives you confidence that this is something that's not just a flash in the pan, but continued success?
Oh, wow. Well, I think in order to have a sustained culture, you have to have a foundation, and each year you have to relay that foundation. I think as long as we're consistent in who we are with developing a lead edge in the strength and conditioning program, as long as we continue to focus on our core values and understand what the goal for our program is, it is front and center in everything we do. We want to chase student dreams. That's a life of football. It's a life outside of the game. We want to make sure that we play for championships, and obviously playing in a bowl game is an opportunity to play for a championship. And we want to develop a lead edge, which is energy, details, great emotional consistency in everything we do. Combine that with our four core values of always compete. We want to have a competitive culture that's always pushing to be the very best that we can be. We want to build trust and respect, which is the foundation of any relationship. And that's what you're going to have with your players when they come in. You're bringing in transfers, freshmen, the current guys. There has to be a foundation of trust and respect, build brotherhood, so that those guys will go out and compete and finish. I was talking to Coach Ferentz last night. When you look across college football, I think our two programs have done a really good job. We've had two opt-outs, I think, on both sides because of potential NFL futures and careers, and we totally understand that. But the rest of these senior classes are wanting to play, and they want to play together for the brotherhood. And that was something that D-Rob and Chris Evans-Drain and those guys, JC, started last year. I think it's something that Johnny Walker and Brady Cook want to continue. And I know that those guys' leadership will continue to exist with the next generation coming college football is changing, you can't predict the future. We just got rocked last week with new rules for junior college, and every day there's a new change, but I think you have to be adaptable, and you have to have a core mission of what you believe in. And for us, we believe in chasing two dreams, we believe in development of the edge, we believe in playing for championships, and that's the mission. If you want to come to the University of Missouri, you have to believe in those things, and you have to be willing to abide by the core values that we have. And if you do that, it's a great fit for us.
Coach, speaking of the JUCO ruling, what do you feel about that, and how does that impact someone like Tristan Newsom, that did the JUCO route?
I've come to the point that I realize my opinion really doesn't matter. Until there's somebody actually in charge of college football, our opinions are just a wasted breath, and people take those opinions and twist them and turn them however they want to. They either use it against the coach or they use it to prove their point on social media, and it's really a waste of time. I think for me, and for our program, it's about utilizing the new rule change to try to benefit your program in the best way possible and be adaptable, like I said. So I'm not going to get caught up in making bold statements and all that. I think at the end of the day, for me, it's just about whatever the rules are. It's kind of, I went back, I said this in COVID. There's a scene in Apollo 13 where they're trying to figure out how to get the three-man crew into the shuttle, and they take this bag of stuff and they dump it out. And they're like, all right, guys, you gotta figure out how to get, this filter to fix this. And that's kind of what we're doing with NCAA right now. We just take a bag of stuff and say, here are the rules. We gotta figure it out. And so we'll do that. We've had conversations with Tristan. It's up to him. We would love to have him back. We welcome him back with open arms. Obviously, it affects a lot of different people. It affects our roster count. To do that after the portal's been open and after people have signed and all that is a little bit tricky, but he's one of us. And so if he's one of us, he's always welcome.
Coach, talking about the program you're building, some of this momentum, what would it mean to get across the 10-win threshold for back-to-back years?
I'm not really caught up in the outcome of that. I think obviously for us, it's an opportunity to play for a championship, and that's the single focus for us. It's an opportunity to play for the Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl championship. The long-term effects besides that, I think, are not caught up in SEC versus Big Ten. I'm not caught up in any of that. This is really a standalone game, and it's really different than what you had at the end of the season because of the free agency period that occurs. So for us, this is, I hate to be like this, but it really is an exhibition game. And for us, it's an opportunity to take our players and play one last time together. And, if you're fortunate enough to win, it catapults you into next year. And if you don't, then you came up short and you fly back home and you celebrate the new year and you start all over. So I don't know that it carries more significance than that.
Hey Eli, when it comes to exhibition game, as you just mentioned, there's a lot of younger guys here who've been looking for an opportunity to play and have this development in these 15 practices. Just how's that going, and what have you seen from these guys? Because knowing that the transfer portal does exist and some guys might leave that you might have thought, oh, this is going to be a great time to develop them, they're gone. How much do you put your energy and focuses into the guys that are still there, that are trying to be part of Mizzou next year going forward after this game?
That's a great question. We're developing a program. We've always been. We play Monday Night Football with our underclassmen to try to consistently get them better, and that's part of the process. The only way to get better at football is to practice, and you have to have a mindset that always improve, right? And so for us, what a great opportunity for some of our underclassmen to get Marquise and Josh Manning. They're going to step up into bigger roles this game. Obviously, with the injury of Brett Morfleet, it allows Jordan and Tyler and potentially Jude James to have a bigger role. On the defensive side of the ball, there's some younger guys, Nick Rodriguez and Jeremiah Beasley should get some more reps. So we're excited about that opportunity. As far as, I've said this before, we had an unbelievable event last night. I appreciate the Music City Bowl hosting an event at the Gaylord Robbery and being able to listen to some songwriters talk about a few different things. But one of the songwriters, she moved to Nashville. She'd been here for 9 years. have to work and you have to survive. You have to sustain and you have to go through some tough times. And she actually started a dog sitting business and was, you know, I'm not gonna use the word, but, she had this dog sitting business. She would go and babysit dogs of famous, country music city artists, and she would follow them and pick up their business in the grass. And she's like, I'm chasing my dream doing this, right? And she's a wildly successful writer, has had 3 number ones in the last 2 years. And it was just for me a reminder that I wish my players could hear that story, because there's no such thing as an instant success. And whether or not you're recruited based off your potential, no matter where you go, you gotta develop, you gotta get better. And you see all these guys jumping in the portal after 6 months of being on campus. That's just not real life. It's like a country music star or a country music writer or star. You drive up and down Broadway, there's people playing in every single bar, and they're extremely talented. There's 132 Division I football teams, and everybody's got talent. Talent's not enough. You gotta work hard, you gotta face the tough stuff, and you gotta keep pressing forward. And so I hope that our players will continue to embrace that and learn from it and understand that just because you don't hit, just because you're not where you want to be right now, doesn't mean that door's closed. Just means you gotta keep knocking.
Coach, looking at Iowa's defense, what do you think has allowed them to be so successful, not just this season, but having them be able to be as successful as they have been for many years, recent memory?
Well, obviously continuity, right? I mean, they do an outstanding job with their defensive scheme. And I will say this, they do have nuance change. Whether you go back and watch them from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, they have developed and made changes each and every year. But there's a consistency of what they do. You know, fundamentally, they're going to be really good. You know, the front six is a veteran group. They play a lot of football together. Their 2 safeties know exactly where they're at in the fits. They can play man-to-man out there in the corner positions. They're going to win one-on-ones. They make you earn every inch. It's a really challenging scheme to go against. It's why they've been wildly successful. But they have program alignment. You know, their offense complements their defense complements their special teams. You know what they're trying to do in order to win the game. And it's a real challenge. You have to beat the whole team. You can't just beat one person. You can't just beat one matchup. You got to beat the whole team in order to have a chance to win.
Coach, can you speak to quarterback coach leadership, his skills in weathering some tough injuries, what he's meant to your program?
Yeah, what a wonderful example of sticking to it, right? Of fighting through adversity, ignoring the outside noise and just focusing on getting better. You know, as a young man who, from day one wanted to be here and has had to endure, whether it's been injuries from shoulder, whether it's been injuries this season, he's always put the team first. He's always tried to improve. He's always tried to be a leader. You know, I think back to the South Carolina game, x-rays his wrist. It still shows a break. It's his call. It's 100% his call. Can you play? It's up to you. We would never put you in jeopardy. And as long as it was his call, he was going to play. And that's rare these days. And for him to be out there this week with so much bright future ahead of him, he wouldn't miss it, because it means something to play with his teammates. It means something to put that Missouri Tiger uniform on. And that's the college football that we all know and love and believe in and are excited about. And he drives a really nice Ford Bronco. He's benefiting from NIL, so there's no negatives to it. He's doing it the right way. He's earning every bit of money he's gotten for all the crap he's had to take over the years. It's been awesome, and obviously 20-5 in the last 2 seasons. He's got a chance. I think he's tied for second in all-time career wins as a starting quarterback at the University of Missouri. So he's had an outstanding career. He's a guy that's going to be remembered at the university.
Eli, you talk about this free agency period.
Yep.
A dozen guys, more than that, have chosen to come to the University of Missouri to play for you. What's your message there, and why they decided to come here?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that they're not really playing for me, they're playing for us, and they're playing with our brotherhood. And it's never gonna be about me, it's gonna be about our university, our brotherhood, the environment that we create, and the opportunity that we have. I think we're not for everybody. We're very selective in how we approach the recruiting process of the transfer portal. We recruit a specific style and a specific player. We were able to get the right guys. Very appreciative to Laird and Marcy and the board, and several key boosters for being very active and helping us raise the money that we needed in order to be an attractive place. People can like me all they want, but if I don't pay them, they ain't coming. And so, and I don't mean that like that. If they don't have NIL opportunities, then they're not coming. So, you have to have a competitive NIL market. So, sorry, Marcy, I know that's gonna get me in trouble, but tell the OGC I'm sorry.
Coach, speaking of quarterback, you just brought one in Bo Privula. What does he bring to the team?
Yeah, I want to focus on the bowl game. We'll talk about that when those guys get on campus. This is really about this group of young men. This is about this getting this opportunity, and we're excited about those signees. But this is about the Music City Bowl. This is about the group of men that are here. This is about Brady Cook and his opportunity to lead this football team one last time.
We've got time for one more question after this.
Can we get to?
Well, yeah, after
He
this.
said his hand up.
Coach, can you talk about Chris Williams' leadership on the D-line and what he's meant for this team this year?
Yeah, Christian, as a transfer from Memphis, went out to Oregon, wasn't the right fit for him, comes back, and when you talk about a guy with an elite edge, he's got the same energy every day. He focuses on details, he takes notes. Every meeting, he's gonna have his notebook out writing notes. Grit, during fall camp, he sleeps in the building, and he's got another defensive lineman to do the same thing. He wears his shoulder pads to the team meeting. He comes fully taped to every team meeting so that he's prepared to go straight to practice for meetings. And it's just his mindset, his edge, and he's consistent every single day. And I'm very proud of, you can talk about Brady and Johnny, and Mitch and Drake, but man, there was this influx of transfers who bought into the culture. And Christian Williams is one of those guys. Joseph Charleston is one of those guys. Trevez Johnson's one of those guys. Cam Johnson's one of those guys. Champ Flag this year is one of those guys. Sometimes you bring in transfers and it's so new and maybe they don't quite fit. Man, these guys sacrificed their egos and they said, hey, let's just be a part of the brotherhood. And it's not about my role, it's about our role as a team. How do we become better as a team? And Christian kind of has personified that throughout our program for the last 3 seasons.
Last question.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thanks, Coach. Sticking with the defense, tomorrow we'll wrap up Coach Batoon's first season as defensive coordinator with the team. How has he grown more comfortable with the program as a whole throughout the season?
Yeah, this is going to be one of those great deals where you get a chance to visit with Kirby and Corey and you get to ask him those questions. I don't want to speak for him on what he's gotten more comfortable with, but I will say this, it's been a great working relationship. I think the defensive staff has grown with more and more synergy and understanding of each other and what we're trying to do. And we have the saying, low ego, high output within our coaching staff, and preference versus performance. And I think Corey's really done an outstanding job of being exactly that, low ego, high output. What's best for our defense? What's best to put our players in a position of success? And it's not about what anybody prefers. It's about how do we get the best performance out of this group of men that we have. And we've had some deficiencies throughout the year, and I think our defensive staff has done a really good job of masking those deficiencies, playing to our strengths, and getting the best out of our guys to put us in a position to play this whole game.
Thank you, Coach Drinkwitz.